Hello everybody, it's Chibi. Today's going to be an anime review on Sakasama no Patema. Now, I want to be straight out honest in this review. I am going to be honest, be completely truthful, and remember this is all just in my opinion. Now, I want to start off by explaining the plot, the different characters and stuff like that, and then I want to talk about the good and then the bad, okay? So, the main gist and plot of this series is pretty much about reverse gravity. Okay, so imagine if your up was your down, and your down was your up. That is pretty much exactly what this movie is about. Imagine, two different cultures, one that has normal gravity, and another culture that has reverse gravity. So, for instance, if they fall towards the sky. And so, that's pretty original concept, honestly. I like the concept of this movie. This movie has a nice, unique concept, unique plot, and it definitely leaves you wondering and interested in watching the movie. The beginning of the movie starts off really interesting. As you can clearly see, there was a bad science experiment that happened, and pretty much you see skyscrapers, people falling towards the sky, trees, everything falling towards the sky with reverse gravity. And it definitely leaves you compelled to wanting to continue on watching the movie, which that's why I continued watching the movie. It was a really interesting thing. I went into this movie not knowing nothing about it. I really did. I started this movie not knowing nothing about it. The only reason I watched it is I got recommended by a couple people to actually do a review on this. So, that is why I'm doing it. So, as the plot continues on, we find out pretty much that the entire reason why there's these inverts, pretty much that's what the reverse gravity people are called, inverts. The reason why they're inverted is because these scientists in the past pretty much were trying to harness gravity and make energy from it, and they messed up, had a science experiment failure, and it caused the land to just reverse gravity. I don't know how far and extent the gravity got reversed. I don't know what kind of people, how far people got reversed or not, but this was never truly explained in the series. So that is one problem right there, but let's continue talking about the overall story. So, the two main characters, Patema and Eiji. Very likable characters. You got a boy and a female, and pretty much you get to see some romance growing between these two characters through the entire point of the series, and it's enjoyable. I like the romance, and I love the series for that. As you all know, I love romance. The animation is okay. I love the way the camera is able to change from inverted scenes to non-inverted scenes instantly. It was really good work right there, and I enjoyed the way the scenes looked. It was definitely unique, and only animation like anime could be able to pull something like that off. So I give props to the anime for that. Music-wise, the music is very forgettable. There's only one song in this series that I really liked, and that was pretty much the ending credits. And so, really, all the music you'll kind of forget about while you're watching this movie. So really, right there, the movie lacks in music. It really does. And the animation, it's good, but it's not the best thing I've ever seen. Majority of all the series in this current anime season really tops the animation that's shown in this movie. So right there, I pretty much explained the overall plot and the different things of the animation and music. So let's talk about the bad. The bad of this movie builds up from the very beginning. There's a lot of problems with this movie that I cannot look past because even though I enjoyed this movie, I loved it. I loved the entertainment value out of it, and because it was unique, I continued watching it. There was a lot of problems with this movie that definitely leave you wondering why. Why would they add these certain elements in to not explain them? There's two things in this movie that leave you puzzled and wondering what the hell happened. So let's talk about it. There is a scene in this movie, okay, when you see these two characters, our main two characters, Patema and Eiji, pretty much they're falling towards the sky. As you know, Patema is pretty much the inverted person, and when you have a regular male character, Eiji, that's pretty much our normal gravity person. And so as they're pretty much falling towards the sky, they eventually continue to fall, and you think all hope is lost. I was actually getting upset. I'm like, oh my god, these characters are gonna die. And the movie wasn't even halfway at the point. I'm like, what's going on here? And so eventually, as they're falling, they eventually see this floating structure in the sky that looks like stars, and then they hit it. Now, of course, you're probably wondering why the hell freaking they didn't die from the impact, since technically gravity is reversed. Well, because of Patema and Eiji holding on to each other, it kind of, I guess, made the gravity neutral or balanced. They didn't fall as fast, and also at the same time, it wasn't that hard of an impact. So I'm explaining right there, that's technically how Patema and Eiji survived the fall, even though they're going straight upwards. So, when they hit this structure, this floating structure, it instantly opens your eyes. You're wondering like, holy hell, what is this structure? What is this floating steampunk air machine in the sky? What is this? How was this made? What creature made this? Is this human technology? It leaves you wondering, what the hell is this? But the sad thing is, they never explain it. That is one major issue with this. The entire point of this floating structure that seems to have steam coming out of it definitely has lights, definitely is metal, and definitely is created by some form of intelligence, was never explained. All it was there for was to save Patema and Eiji from their inevitable death of falling into the sky. That is all it was used for. Now tell me, if anyone that hasn't watched the movie and you're still listening to this, how disappointing and how upset would you be about something like that? So let's continue on with this entire scene. So as they land up there, we pretty much find out what happened to Eiji's father's balloon. Now let me explain into the backstory of Eiji's father. Eiji's father was a dreamer. He wanted to fly into the sky and see the world above. And so eventually he used some objects from the inverts that were inverted with gravity, put it into a balloon, and floated up into the sky with this balloon. And sadly enough, Eiji's father was shot and assassinated because he was trying to be a sinner. They called these people sinners that wanted to be an invert, pretty much, and fly towards the sky. So right here, here's another problem. The prejudice. There is just stupid prejudice in this series. Like, for instance, there's this one main character, the main antagonist of this movie, that is very one-dimensional. He has no good motive at all. He's very stupid. At the time at the end of this movie, you're not really sure why exactly he's doing this. I mean, as you could clearly see, as one moment he wants Patema to rely on him, but the next moment he's holding Patema by her freaking hand about to kill her and throw her out into the sky. And then one moment he's pretty much trying to kill her, and then you got another moment to where he's trying to kill all the inverts. So really, the main villain was very one-dimensional, very bland, nothing unique about him, and he had the personality of a fucking rock. I want to be honest there. So the main villain was uninteresting. Nothing to really say that you should write home about. So right there we have a bad villain, and we have something that's already not explained about the entire plot by the end of the movie with a floating structure in the sky. So let's go on to another one, okay? So pretty much let's continue where I left off with the balloon in the sky. So as we all know, pretty much since these two survived and they landed on this floating structure that was never explained, they see the balloon of Eiji's father, literally on the structure, just floating there, since technically it had inverted objects on it, so it's being able to hold on top of the machine. So as Patema and Eiji get over there, they read the diary, the journal of pretty much Eiji's father, and we find out that, for instance, Patema's father was actually helping Eiji's father in making this machine. And sadly enough, both these two kids' fathers died in this movie. We find out pretty much Eiji's father was assassinated, as I said, and then Patema's father was put into, stasis tube? I mean, that was never actually explained either. There's another issue. The entire stasis tube, when we get to see, like, a figure that looks like Patema's father, it was technically never confirmed that was Patema's father, but I'm just gonna say that was Patema's father. I'm just gonna say that right now, okay? So, we see this person floating in the tomb. We can pretty much already say who it was. But the problem here, okay, is that entire element was never explained. We never actually confirmed if he was dead or not. He was just floating in a liquid-type tube upside down. So, right there, the entire thing with this balloon also was just plot convenience for Eiji and Patema to get back down on the ground. So, plot convenience and a floating structure right there and a bad villain. Yeah, okay, so let's continue on. The romance felt rather forced. It didn't feel like it flowed well until you got to that entire balloon scene. The only thing that balloon scene, I guess, managed to do was get them to the ground, and at the same time, it actually kind of made you believe the romance a lot better between Patema and Eiji. So, I feel like the balloon did have some form of relevance and importance. So, really, the romance, I guess, is okay. So when they make it to the ground, there's this big structure that pretty much links to the inverts world where they live underground, and you have pretty much on this beginning part of the hole, pretty much where the regular normal people are, it's a wasteland. As you can probably tell from this wasteland, most likely it's the entire scene from the beginning of the movie where you see skyscrapers already floating into the sky. Technically, you'd think the skyscrapers, everything would be in that sky, on the machine, on the metal floating machine, steampunk machine. But no, they weren't. Okay, they weren't. Okay, now let me explain why I say this, okay? I'll explain exactly why I say this in just a second. So they go down this hole, but they have the final confrontation with the villain, and pretty much the villain's one-dimensional, as I said, and eventually he has what's all coming to him for being prejudiced against inverts. He falls towards the sky and dies. Now, right there, that seems like karma, but there's a lot of unexplained things about the scene. At first, you're probably wondering, like, oh, okay, so I'm guessing gravity got reversed again, and Patema is no longer invert, and Eiji's an invert now. But no, the scene doesn't look like that. At the end of the movie, you see that there's this entirely different world, a different moon, a different moon with like a Saturn-type ring with debris around it. And this right here is the biggest issue in the movie. This hole that led to the regular world, okay, of Eiji, that was regular normal gravity. And remember, the science experiment reversed gravity, okay? So, as they go down this hole, okay, Eiji, could stand on the bottom of the hole like a normal person, and you would have, for instance, Patema fall down the hole into the sky. Well, pretty much when the hole breaks, there's this other world. And what's weird about this other world is that the skyscrapers that you saw in the beginning of the movie were on this side of the world. What? Oh, okay, let me explain why I have a problem with this. So we see as they fall in the other side, where AG's side of the world, okay, falls, they see this metal steampunk hazard freaking, spaceship, okay? And then with this, when they fall to that side, all the skyscrapers are there. So, what the fuck? What, how did the skyscrapers get on that side when they were right underneath it and just, like, what? Did I miss something? What? Okay, yeah, I don't really need to explain any more about this movie, honestly, okay? I think probably people are gonna have some problems with me probably ranting on this movie because there's just so many issues I cannot overlook. I want to enjoy this movie. It was a good movie. It just, there's so many issues that, oh my god. I really will not recommend this movie to other people. I cannot. Because you will be sadly disappointed at the very end because you'll definitely want to know more about these different elements that were never, I guess, explained properly. Now, I know there is these OVAs that I guess takes place before this or after it, but I don't think they really explain much because I don't really know. I haven't watched them yet. But besides that, I guess, right at this moment, disappointing. It really is a disappointing movie. I would not recommend you watch this, but if you turn off your brain, I guess you can enjoy this movie. It is a good movie if you look past that. It's very original, it lacks a lot of things, and definitely, I feel like the characters could have been a lot better. So everybody, tell me your thoughts on this movie, Sakasama no Patema. Did you enjoy this movie? Did you hate this movie? Did you notice these problems but you decided to look over them? Please let me know in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.